You know what's really funny? I was literally just thinking that I was like, oh, I wonder if Showtime's sending out swag to anybody. And I was like, but what would they send out? And then I was like, oh, they'll send out an SVN mug. And then I was like, but you don't really see them drinking out of mugs very often when they're on camera. So I was like, maybe they'll send out like a Snuggie or something like that.
Oh my God, I'm gonna tell Vanessa said that a Snuggie is such a good idea. We as wrap gifts got like baseball caps with different like Bangers of Beverly Hills or Daddy's Little Cookies, like the different products we had.
That's amazing. That's really great. Or even like a box of Daddy's cookies. That would be an amazing tie into the show.
I agree. But a
Yeah.
Snuggie is up next.
Yeah.
Season 2, we get Snuggies.
Okay. I have to tell you, I am in love with this show. I've seen the whole thing.
Oh, yay.
I just think it's so specific in its tone and it's so specific in its point of view. And I think the ensemble is really great. I'm a sucker for a great ensemble. And I do want to talk to you about that last episode because I've been calling it wackadoo for the last like 2 days because that is a fun episode. So I guess the first question that I had for you is Joanna Gold's audition. It's a very big moment for her and for the show. I was wondering how you imagined Beth Ann's audition went.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. I think Beth Ann's someone that is very put together and very rehearsed and has been like training for this her whole life, you know?
Right.
And so I would imagine it was probably very perfect, but maybe not quite as interesting as Joanna, you know, because she's got this veneer of how she feels like she should be, how she should present herself. And then throughout the series, we see a bit like of an unraveling and vulnerability coming out about who she really is, which I think will be very interesting to explore in season 2.
Yeah.
But I think she's a person who has this kind of American dream in her head of like material success, how you should look, how you should present. That's a little different from maybe who she actually is.
Yeah. That unraveling for a character that is so concerned with outward appearance and presenting themselves in a certain way. I think the unraveling of a character like Beth Ann, especially towards the end of the show, that is so hilarious to me because you quite literally don't know where the character is going to go.
Right.
As they don't embrace mess in any other aspect of their life.
Yeah. She's someone who's like holds so tightly on to keeping it together, and aren't those people always the messiest? It's like, what a disaster, recipe for disaster.
I'm ready for like a seismic sort of explosion of her in season 2, which I'm really excited about.
Me too.
I wanted to ask about the relationship between Beth Ann and Darcy, just because I feel as a viewer, we don't realize how fragile it is from the very beginning. Something that Matt has been doing very much lately in his projects is showing a sort of like sad longing of a gay man that I think is really fascinating to watch. And Beth Ann uses him as a support, and I feel like she doesn't realize how much maybe she takes from him, or maybe she takes for him more than she gives back to him, I guess. How do you sort of feel about that relationship? Just because where their relationship is heading towards the end of the first season actually made me sad, because she obviously uses him as a support for her a lot.
Yeah, and I think she really, really loves him to like the capacity that she can have like vulnerable, intimate love, because I don't know that she truly knows herself very well yet. But I mean, I've had I'm sure we've all had friendships like this where one person is kind of the star of the friendship and the other one is like the sidekick support, and it's very much all about them, and there's a lot of chaos, and I think sometimes with people like that, it's not malicious at all. It's just a self-involvement, and a lot of it's insecurity, and they feel like their friend is their like safety blanket, and that it does feel equal because they're both buying in on what's what's going on with her.
Mhm.
But she's just so unaware of what everybody else is going through that I think it is sad. I feel sad about it too, because I'm like, she loves him. She's just very self-involved in this moment. Her life's kind of falling apart, and hasn't been noticing how it's affecting him as it gets worse and worse.
I even actually thought I thought of it through the sort of lens of Beth Ann and Darcy's relationship, where she's always talking about her husband. She's always on her phone going through and like, oh, my husband like this, or my husband wants me to do that. I actually even wonder, like, is she even lying to Darcy about how much her marriage is in trouble? Like that is fascinating to me, because she's so close to him, but in a way she's still keeping him at a distance, like she does with everybody else.
Yeah, that's really observant, because yes, I think she's, even though Darcy's like her closest person or confidant, she still in her mind needs to appear like everything's fine and she's got it together. There aren't any problems. You know, she's always complaining about what's going on, but it is a little more surface level. It's not quite as
Yeah. Okay. The thing that I find so interesting about the first season is Beth Ann can sort of sniff out Joanna's bullshit from the beginning. And I realized, I was like, she's right. I didn't even realize it until this morning almost. I was like, you know, the sort of like mean girl is right about what the main character is doing. And that's an amazing choice. And I guess I wanted to know how maybe you wanted to sort of subvert the mean girl trope at all.
Well, I'm so glad that it came across that way, because Vanessa and I and Jesse and Jeremy, like, we all had a lot of conversations about how, you know, Beth Ann's presented as this mean girl, Joanna's really sweet and innocent, and then by the end you're like, oh, Beth Ann is a person that's like, how can you lie like this? Like, I would never lie in that way to people to deceive them, and you're the one that's lying. And it's this kind of question mark of like, good or bad, or are we all a little bit combination of both? And Beth Ann does come out looking more like she actually kind of does do the right thing when it comes down to it sometimes. But I thought it was really interesting, because like, if anyone's ever known mean girls or been a mean girl themselves, it's just it's such a defense. It's a protection against being the weak one, right? Like, nobody wants to be the one that everybody doesn't like. So it, to me, has always come across as very insecure, you know?
Yeah.
And not super confident. I mean, I'm sure there are just pure sociopaths who don't care about anybody. But it, to me, Beth Ann read as like, she's really insecure and kind of wants to connect with people and wants girlfriends and all this stuff, but probably has complicated relationships with her mother and women in general, and doesn't quite know how to connect other than like trying to have power, you know?
Yeah, I feel like on a certain level, Beth Ann is the type of character who she would probably say to somebody, oh, I don't have friends that are girls. I don't have friends like that.
I just like, I'm one of the guys. I just get along with guys better.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And sort of going along with that, do you think in Beth Ann's mind, is there anything that she can actually learn from Joanna in terms of working at SVN? Like, is there anything maybe, I feel like anytime Beth Ann is watching Joanna, she's just like, ugh, and she doesn't like her that much. But I was wondering if maybe Beth Ann is taking anything at all from Joanna's sort of pristine experience of selling stuff on camera.
Well, I think, you know, before Beth Ann knows that Joanna's lying, even though she is suspicious the whole time, I think she sees Joanna kind of using her like real life and her truth, and it's actually getting her a lot of success. So at some point, Beth Ann's trying to sneak in like, well, I used to have asthma, and like, I need to like get on this train of having disabilities or issues.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I feel like anytime that Patricia shows up, like she's just like walking around in the background watching on camera, I just feel like I can feel your whole body tensing. I'm just like, oh shit, like gonna fire you on the spot or something.
Yeah, scary presence.
Yeah, I spoke to Jennifer Lewis, and she, I mean, bow down at her feet at all times. And it's also just when I was only on the phone with her, and I was like, she's gonna rip me a new asshole, just because she's like, I need to like let her know that I worship her at her feet. So
I know, she's so powerful. Like she just
yeah.
carries that energy with her. And such a good actress that if
Mhm.
she's, Meryl Streep in A Devil Wears Prada, which is kind of her vibe in this, is
Mhm.
so intimidating. Like you really believe it. But then on set, she's also like
The
so warm
sweetest,
and
the
engaging.
sweetest person in the
The
world.
sweetest, yeah, so supportive.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like we can't not talk about Harry just
Perry.
because, first of all, I'm a little bit in love with him. He's so charismatic, so problematic too, but he's also, it's kind of weird when he's like an endearing character, but also she's like, he shouldn't say that. And I was originally going to ask, how do you think she sort of, I would say like fell under Perry's spell a little bit, but I imagine you would probably just tell me that she's so desperate kind of to be loved and to have the attention that she wants that the first possible outlet, she sort of takes it, right?
I think definitely like there's that she's feeling so low and so like her identity is just shattered. And then this one person's like, you look great with bangs. And she's like, oh my God.
She's like,
Love you. but but
oh,
also Perry and Jono in real life, who's the
mhm,
funniest, he's so talented. Like God, everyone in
mhm.
the cast is so good. But
Yeah, whole cast is
um
amazing.
it's amazing. Everyone's so funny and good actors and genuine, wonderful people. But
Mhm.
I think Perry is like a person who does not care what other people think at all.
Yeah,
And isn't it like, don't you feel when you have a crush on someone, it's because you kind of want to be like them? Like they have a quality that you're kind of like, I wish I was more like that.
yeah,
I think there's an attraction there to how he's just like, I am what I am.
yeah. There's kind of like home shopping. There is like an aspirational quality to Perry as well, in a weird way. That's probably why he gets away with so much. He was like, oh, he's just him, and we love him, and we want to be like him. Yeah, I totally get
You
that.
know. Have you talked to Jono? You should talk to Jono. He's so funny.
No, I DM'd him on Instagram because he said something. I think he shared on his story something about I think it was a picture of the two of you together. And it was
Uh-huh.
right after I watched episode 7. And I was like, I wasn't ready for that. And he replied and he was so sweet. And then I was gonna DM him again and be like, and I saw the finale and I still wasn't ready for it. I'll have to
Never
do that.
really.
Um I did kind of briefly want to ask about the final episode, just because the energy of SVN in that final episode is batshit crazy. It's sort
Mhm.
of like you and Jono arguing over if eggs are dairy or not. That was so funny. I was cackling laughing with that. And I just feel like the energy probably felt a little different because it kind of just felt like this deluge of shit that was
Delusion shit.
like, and you all sort of have to just like make do with it because like everything is going wrong and everyone is mad and there's this horrible secret just looming over everybody.
And Ryan Phillippe's there.
First of all,
Oh my God.
that would have been like the day that I would most want to be on set if Ryan Phillippe's there.
He's so funny. He's
Yeah. I guess was the energy different on set that day just because I feel like it really comes through on screen and the relationships feel like they're really tested that day.
I do want to pitch Jesse and Jeremy and Vanessa the title Deluge of Shit as the finale
Yes.
episode. um because it was the last week, it was like I think we were all starting to feel sad, like, oh no, this is over. And like all of our characters were in like extreme, in the beginning we were kind of having fun and it was silly. And then there were like high emotional scenes. So I think a lot of us were feeling a bit unhinged,
Yeah.
clearly. And so I'm glad it comes through because it was a little like, what's happening? But in a fun way.
Yeah. Okay. I totally get that. Um, Sort of speaking in a general sense, with a lot of your projects, you have a lot of really amazing projects coming up. And the after party came out early this year. That's a great ensemble. I have like 3 episodes left of that. That's a great cast.
I
Um,
know.
and you are a part of a lot of really great ensembles, both on television and in film. And I was wondering if that is something you particularly look for when you're considering projects, because I personally love projects that have like really big ensembles where people can bounce off of each other. And I was wondering if that's like a conscious choice that you have.
Well, I do love, like, I think my favorite part of this business is the collaboration. Like, the circus tent comes up and then we're all together and we're a family and we're like at camp for a few months and having the best time. And like, obviously it's work and it's hard or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's really fun. And I don't know if it's because I'm an only child. And so my whole
Mhm.
life I've like sought out large groups of community and lots of friends to not
Oh,
feel
okay. That makes
alone.
sense.
It has something to do with it. As my therapist, I don't know, but but I do like it is. I think that for the next handful of scripts I'm looking at for my next things, it's going to
Mhm.
be role is really the most important. Like, is this the right role for me? But for
Mhm.
a while, it really was like, is this a great group of people making something I believe in? Are we all going to like come together and have a great time and make something really fun? And I feel like that's what the last year has been. All the projects, like you said, so fun.
Yeah. Like, Confess Fletch.
Mhm.
First of all, John Hamm, I think, is so funny, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. I just saw a movie where that's gonna play at Tribeca, where it's like this really absurd, weird movie, and he's really funny in it. And I think we get sort of blinded by how handsome he is and how good looking he is, and
Right. And he's such a good actor, like a
he's such a
dramatic.
good actor. Yeah, that anytime he gets a chance to be silly, I think is really wonderful. And
You're gonna love Fletch. It's so
okay,
he's so funny and charming, and it's just like people will really get to see that.
that's annoying. He gets to be that good looking. He's that good of an actor, and he's funny.
Yeah,
Not,
what's his
not fair.
deal did he make?
Like, you get to work with what, Alison Brie and somebody that I used to know. I mean, that looks. I was reading about that just the other day, and I was like, I need that movie now. It's just, I don't know. That cast sounds really awesome.
Great. Oh my God. And we had the time of our lives in Italy.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
I guess I do want to ask about fashion wise, because you're very passionate about sustainable fashion, right? Okay.
Yeah, I got this at a garage sale. So yeah.
I was gonna say I love that shirt. I love me a stripe or a print. I love really obnoxious. Not saying that's obnoxious, but I like really obnoxious like prints
Me
and
too.
I'm really drawn to like if it's like ugly and paisley, I'm here for it.
Oh yes, yes. I veer into like tacky glam. Like sometimes
Yes.
people be like, "This is too Elvis Presley." And you like pull it back. Like,
Yeah, I went to something in New York City. I went to some event and I was wearing this like dark like navy blue shirt and it had like these sort of obnoxious pink flowers all over it and I had like a pink jacket on top of it and I like when I took my jacket off at one point somebody I was literally walking and I took it off and somebody was like, oh, there's flowers, and I was like, yes,
oh, there's more.
there's more, trust me. Curious how you sort of got into sort of ethical and sustainable fashion, just because I know you're very passionate about that. So I wanted to know like what the in was for that.
Well, I've always loved like weirdly as a kid, I friends that were not into shopping or clothes and they didn't want to go back to school shopping and they didn't know what to do, I'd like take them
Hmm.
to like it started with one friend whose mom gave us like a small budget and I took her to like a bunch of consignment stores. This is
Hmm.
in elementary school. And I was like, let's just get you like a whole new wardrobe and a bunch of cool stuff. And we made it like a really fun adventure. And then when she came to school in her like new look, all the other moms were like, can you take my daughter shopping? It was like kind of a weird like business, not really business, but
Like a like a 10-year-old with a side hustle. That's what.
I didn't have a lemonade stand. I had a make. Yeah. I also like loved Clueless, so I was like, this is the life I want.
Yep. Oh
But
my god.
throughout life, just got like more into thrifting. I mean, partially just to save money because you're like, oh my god, you could get designer stuff for cheap.
Hmm.
But it's also like an adventure. My friend Kirby Howell Baptiste, she's also an actor, and we met
Hmm.
in Pittsburgh shooting something, and we just spent like hours going to all the thrift stores and the vintage stores.
You say
And
Pittsburgh?
yes,
I'm from Pittsburgh.
no, oh
Yeah.
my god, what's the name of what is the
Avalon. Is it the
Av-
Avalon?
yeah, wait, what street is that on?
It's on Fifth and Squirrel Hill now.
Oh my god, that because Kirby and I like started doing this, and we're actually like in talks to like develop a show about taking people thrifting essentially. But it originated in Pittsburgh, and there were a couple stores. We have it in our written down somewhere.
I know red, white, and blue is a big one. Sort of in like the South Hills. The one in the one that I know that has like one of my friends, she also writes for the website with me. We went to high school together, and we write for the same website. She and I would always go. There's an area in Pittsburgh called Squirrel Hill. It's like the predominantly like Jewish area of the city, and they always have these like really awesome like small stores that aren't like chain stores. And there's one called the Avalon. I think that's what it's called.
Okay, I'm thinking like it's like you walk in and there's like rows of dresses and clothes, and there's a counter on your left. I don't know if you have been in there recently.
I think that's I should like DM you a picture and see if this is it, but that's one of them. I'm sorry. So yeah, I'm sorry, Pittsburgh. No, it's on Forbes Avenue, not Fifth Avenue.
I mean, it's likely I have a whole list of these because that's where her and I really started getting into it together, and then I just really, when I learned a lot about fast fashion, I watched a documentary called brain's gone to sleep. What is it called? It's I have to look this up. The cost, it's called The Cost of,
I've heard of that. Hold on.
The Human Cost. What is it called? Okay, we gotta get this. We gotta get it.
The true cost? No, I'm a liar.
Is it the true cost? Yeah, the true cost, I think. Yes, I'm pretty sure it's the true cost. Yes, Andrew Morgan. Yeah. So, okay, so the documentary, The True Cost, about fast fashion was very eye-opening about like the unlivable wage and all the abuse in the garment industry. And it's mostly women, like 80% women of color that work in garment factories for like all the major retail chains that we just shop in America.
Yeah.
There's no transparency, and they're like polluting, all the bad stuff. They're doing all the bad stuff. So when I learned about that, and I love thrifting and vintage stuff, I just started on almost every red carpet trying to be fully thrifted or vintage or sustainable. And it's something that I just think is important because the fashion industry, I think, needs more transparency. And I also love to do it. So it's a great combination.
I do remember there was like one time I went to that store, the Avalon Exchange, and I always joke, like, I cannot dress myself. I have no fashion sense whatsoever. But like, I, for some reason, know what like sort of looks fine on other people. So like, there were a lot of times with the girl who writes the website with me, Megan, I would always, like, for Christmas or her birthday, I would always grab her something from that store. Like I bought her like a white winter coat one year from there, and that's where I got it.
For other people though, that's a real skill.
I just remember like she would like take something off, like she's like, what about this? I was like, no, and I just tell her to put it back. I don't know if it's just like the sort of the assumption that like a gay person like me can like know what looks fine.
Turns out.
Yeah, who knows? I guess one last question before I let you go. I want to say screamed, but when in the finale of I Love That for You, there's the sort of montage at the end where we see what is going to happen with these characters, and you get the hard drive with Joanna confessing that she was lying. And I like screamed when you like walked out of the room. I was curious, not necessarily asking for a spoiler, but I was wondering what maybe like if you think she's gonna keep that as a secret weapon, or maybe she's just gonna try to expose her from the get-go.
I mean, it's hard to say because I think when we meet Beth Ann, she's calculating a bit and she just becomes so messy and unhinged that it could go one way or the other, really.
I could see her like threatening her on episode 1, season 2, and be like, "Don't fuck with me because I have this."
Or just like blackmailing the shit out of her.
Yeah, I would love to watch that.
Oh my god, me too.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for letting me gush about how much I love the show, because I'm in love with it so much.
Thank you for loving the show. I can really tell. Like, I love like your takes on it, and you really understand what we're doing. It's very cool to talk to you about it.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's when I spoke to Vanessa like last week, and I feel like I almost borderline, like not like frightened her, but I was just like, I love your show so much, please.
No, she loves that. She
Yeah,
loves
okay, well, great. Well, I love you on the show. I love everything that you're doing. Thank you so much for your time, and stay safe. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks. It was so nice talking to you.
You too. All right. Bye.